Well as any libertarian knows, it's not the government's job to fix everything. The problem is President Biden's policies are creating problems that require more government fixes. How can someone so incompetent continue to lead? Here with me now, California Republican Congressman, House Judiciary Committee member. He should be King of America. He hasn't taken that title yet. It's Congressman Darrell Issa. Welcome back to the show.
Well, thanks, Kennedy, and thanks for covering the fact that government never wants to undo its mistakes, but rather pile on new mistakes.
And that was one of the things that I actually liked about the Trump-Pence administration was they rolled back a lot of regulations. And, you know, all we have seen through successive administrations, more regulations, more red tape, more rules, more laws, more requirements, more reasons to take your money. And then it all kind of comes to a head, and that's what we're seeing now, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, of course, when you have runaway inflation caused by, quite frankly, shortages of materials relative to demand, they would never consider reducing demand in the honest way by not throwing more government money into it, or maybe increasing production by alleviating the impediments that government has put on production, whether it's oil and natural gas, or for that matter, just unloading containers at Long Beach Harbor.
Or baby formula. You know, that was one of the problems where this was an issue that we saw coming for months and months. No one did anything about it. And then when people actually looked into it, they realized, like, we don't get to import baby formula that would be perfectly healthy. You know, we have such high tariffs on so many different countries needlessly that people can't afford, even if they could get it, to get their hands on some of those foreign goods to feed their precious babies. It's really frustrating. And I know a lot of people, including me, take shots at the president, but it's not his age I worry about. Bernie Sanders is like 45 years older than Joe Biden, and he's 10 times more spry. Like, I bet if you poked Bernie Sanders in the middle of the night and said, go run a marathon, he'd put on his creepy wool socks and do it.
Absolutely. And, you know, back to the whole question of the baby formula, remember that there are factories from the same company making baby formula on the same equipment, just not the one that the FDA hasn't gotten off their duff and approved to reopen. So when you talk about self-inflicted, an empty factory not producing, when in fact the same company produces in other locations, and they can't define what the difference is.
Yes, but there are government contracts for the few companies that are allowed to make baby formula, and if one of those companies goes offline or has, you know, drastically reduced capacity, you can't get baby formula in 30 of those states. It's insane. So what is going to happen? You know, are we going to have a massive paradigm shift in this country that leads to limited government and more individual responsibility, or is that just me being completely delusional?
Well, I'm afraid it's you being delusional, because under this administration, things as simple as we don't have enough chassis to put containers on at Long Beach Harbor. Okay, why don't we eliminate this 100% tariff on chassis that are keeping us from buying them and protecting a domestic market that can't produce enough? Doesn't sound like a really hard decision, but it's one that the president has not made in over a year, and it's a stroke of the pen, the same pen he used to cut off pipelines, to cut off oil production on federal lands. You name it, he's done it. And so the real question is, will we ever experiment with the idea of undoing something that's causing a problem? The answer is not under this administration, from what we can tell. It would make as much sense as not bleeding George Washington when he had had his infection. If they had to do it over again, government would still figure, oh yeah, the guy's got a problem, let's get rid of the blood. That's the way government thinks.
Someone go grab a bucket of leeches. The economy's tanking. Congressman Issa, thank you so much. Always good to talk to you. And if I don't talk to you before the 4th, happy birthday, America 246. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it.
To our great country.
Amen.